Hey there, fellow cruise enthusiast. Ready to set sail for another deep dive?
Always.
All right. Today we're diving into the world of Carnival Cruise Line. But we're navigating some choppy waters today.
Oh,
Yeah, we're talking about some unannounced changes Carnival has made recently. Kind of under-the-radar stuff that has passengers, well, they're scratching their heads and comparing notes on social media.
sounds intriguing, like a cruise line mystery.
Exactly. The first change-making waves, no pun intended, is a price hike for the Cheers beverage package.
Ah, the Cheers package.
Yeah. Now, price increases, those aren't unheard of, especially with, the economy these days.
Right.
But it's how Carnival did this one. No grace period or anything. Passengers are feeling a little seasick about it, you could say.
I see. Yeah, usually cruise lines, when they raise prices, they give people a chance to prepay at the old rate. Like if you booked before the increase, it's kind of, standard practice.
Makes sense.
But this time, nope. Carnival just went ahead and bumped up the price. No warning, no grace period, just boom, higher prices.
And you can imagine that's not sitting well with passengers who are, planning to buy the package once they were on board.
Yeah, that would throw a wrench in the budget for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if they weren't expecting it.
Exactly. And the thing is, this lack of transparency is making some people wonder, what other changes might be lurking beneath the surface.
Right, if they're doing this, what else are they doing?
Exactly. Okay, so that's mystery number one. But wait, there's more. Carnival has also, quietly, stopped printing the drink count on receipts after 10 alcohol beverages, that is.
Oh, interesting.
I remember those receipts. It was a handy way for passengers to keep track, especially with that 15-drink daily limit.
Right, right. And from a practical standpoint, it helped bartenders too. If they saw someone getting close to that limit, they could, maybe slow down service a bit or offer some water in between.
It sounds like a system that worked, for everyone.
Yeah, it did.
So why the change? Well, nobody seems to know for sure, but some passengers are pointing out that this actually creates more work for the bartenders. They're constantly being asked now, hey, how many drinks have I had?
Huh. Not very efficient.
Yeah, it slows things down at the bar,
Yeah.
makes things a bit more complicated for those bartenders.
Right. And what's interesting is that Carnival hasn't really addressed the reason behind this change. And that silence, well, it's fueling a lot of speculation.
It's like they're trying to be sneaky about it. And that never looks good, does it?
Not really, no. This lack of transparency, it could actually end up hurting their brand image.
How so?
Well, passengers value open communication, right? This silence might make them consider other cruise lines that are known for better customer relations.
Makes sense. And some passengers are even speculating that removing the drink count is like a way to discourage people from seeing that 15-drink limit as a challenge.
Oh, interesting.
Kind of like out of sight, out of mind. If you're not constantly reminded how close you are to the limit, maybe you won't push for that 15th drink.
That's a thought. It's like they're trying to, subtly nudge people towards more moderate drinking.
Right.
But again, without any official explanation from Carnival, it's all just guesswork.
Right. And some people are wondering if this is Carnival, just trying to fall in line with industry practices.
Oh, how so?
Well, other cruise lines, like Royal Caribbean, they don't itemize drinks on their receipts unless you specifically ask for it.
Hmm.
So is Carnival just trying to be like the cool kids, or is there something more here?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Exactly. And to get some answers, well, we need to look at what Carnival has actually said about all this.
Have they said anything?
Believe it or not, they have addressed the changes,
Yeah.
just not a way that's satisfying anyone.
Okay, so what have they said? Carnival's response, or, well, lack of response, really, has just made this whole thing even more mysterious.
Look, what have they said? Spill the tea.
Well, it all kind of revolves around John Heald, He's Carnival's brand ambassador.
Oh, yeah. He's like a bit of a celebrity in the cruising world, right?
Yeah, exactly. Passengers love him because he's really accessible, Always answering comments, questions on social media, his blog.
Yeah, I've seen his videos. He seems like a fun guy.
He is. So anyway, when people started noticing these changes, with the Cheers package and the drink receipts, they naturally reached out to John, wanted some answers.
And what did Mr. Celebrity Cruise Ambassador have to say for himself?
He acknowledged the changes,
Okay.
but didn't really give any reasons for them, just said he'd pass the feedback on to his colleagues. That's it.
That's kind of a textbook corporate response, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
But not exactly reassuring, is it?
No, not really, especially because there's been no follow-up, like zero communication from Carnival about these issues.
And I can see how that would be frustrating. You
Right.
book a cruise, you have certain expectations, and then things change without any warning or explanation. It's like, hey, hello, I'm the customer here.
Exactly, and it really highlights how important passenger advocacy is.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that these changes, they came to light because of social media and cruise forums, it shows how powerful it can be when passengers share their experiences and hold those cruise lines accountable.
It is a good reminder that we, as consumers, we have a voice, and we should use it.
100%. If you're unhappy about something, speak up. Let the cruise line know. Share your experience. Tell other cruisers. You never know what kind of impact you might have.
Couldn't agree more.
And speaking of impact, there's another angle to this whole drink receipt thing. Some see it as a negative change, but it could actually have some positive implications for Carnival's operations.
Really? In what way?
Well, think about the logistics. Getting rid of that drink count, it could streamline things. Behind the scenes, I mean. Maybe simplify accounting processes, reduce paper waste. Could even save them some money.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of it like that. Makes them seem a bit more efficient, maybe even a little eco-friendly.
Exactly. So this kind of brings up another question, doesn't it? Could this be part of a bigger trend in the cruise industry? Are we moving towards, like, less detailed receipts?
And if so, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It seems like a real balancing act. You've got efficiency, cost savings, but then there's transparency.
Exactly.
Passengers want to know what they're being charged for, but they also want a smooth, enjoyable cruise.
Right. No one wants to spend their vacation scrutinizing every little detail on a receipt.
Absolutely. So finding that sweet spot where cruise lines can operate efficiently without sacrificing transparency and keeping passengers informed, that's the key.
That's it. That's the key.
This whole situation has definitely given us, and our listeners, I bet, a lot to think about.
It really has. We may not have solved this mystery of Carnival's quiet changes, but we've uncovered some pretty interesting clues along the way.
It really feels like we're seeing like a shift happening in the cruise industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And it's not just about these drink receipts or beverage packages. It's about something bigger. It's about how cruise lines communicate with their passengers, how transparent they are.
Exactly. It's that whole thing of, you work a trip and you have certain expectations.
Yeah.
Then, wham, the rules change. You're left feeling, I don't know, frustrated, powerless.
Absolutely. It's like you're sailing along, you think everything's calm, then bam, a rogue wave hits you out of nowhere.
Perfect analogy.
Mm.
And on a cruise, you're kind of a captive audience, right? You don't have the same flexibility to, like, change your plans as you would on land.
Nope, not at all. You're stuck with what the cruise line decides, which is why clear communication is so important, like super important.
So what advice would you give to our listeners who are, planning a cruise, a Carnival cruise especially, maybe in the near future?
Well, first things first, research, research, research.
Always good advice.
Read reviews, check out those cruise forums, social media groups, see what other passengers are saying, what their experience has been like, get a feel for the cruise line's policies, their customer service, all of that.
Right. Get the inside scoop.
Exactly. And be prepared. Things might change, even after you book.
That's good advice. Knowledge is power.
You got it. The more you know beforehand, the fewer surprises you'll have, right?
Right. What else?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Contact the cruise line. Maybe even reach out to John Heald himself on social media. Or even better, work with a travel agent, one that specializes in cruises. They can be so helpful.
Or for sure, they're like cruise whisperers.
Exactly. They know the ins and outs, can help you navigate all the fine print.
Yeah, that's super valuable. But, at the end of the day, travel is unpredictable, right? There will always be things outside of our control. Delays, weather changes, maybe even a mysterious change in drink receipt policy.
True. Yeah.
But if we're informed, we're prepared, it makes those bumps in the road a little easier to handle.
Right. Absolutely. And then you can focus on what matters. Enjoying that vacation you work so hard for.
Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into this whole, Carnival mystery, what's the big takeaway for our listeners? What should they be thinking about as they plan their next cruise?
I think the big takeaway is this. The cruise industry is changing. It's evolving. Cruise lines are, constantly tweaking things. operations, policies, prices, the whole nine yards. And it's up to us, the passengers, to stay informed.
To be like savvy cruise.
Savvy cruisers, exactly. We need to know what we want, what to expect, and we need to hold those cruise lines accountable, make sure they're communicating clearly, being transparent with us.
Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, a fun, memorable cruise, right?
That's it.
And hey, maybe a few tropical drinks along the way, hopefully without any surprise price hikes. All right, to our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something new today, maybe even feel a little more empowered. Remember, your voice matters. Stay informed, speak up, keep exploring. Happy sailing, everyone.